The true nature of our very being is to be in harmony. Welcome, everyone, to the Center for Spiritual Living, Boulder Valley. I'm Reverend Jody Stevenson here, the minister, and I welcome you with just open arms and an open heart. And I thought it would be fun to talk about something that most people don't want to talk about today. And I want to talk about the concept of struggling. And what do the mystics say about this? The word itself is a Norse word and it has German heritage, and it literally means to make strenuous or violent efforts in the face of difficulties. Yay, don't we all love that? And it also says to proceed with difficulty or with great effort. Now, who of us wakes up in the morning and goes, wow, I hope I get to struggle today because I know I am going to learn some great things about myself. I mean, no one does that. So, but I'm pretty sure every person watching this and every person not watching this has struggled in their life. Ooh, at least I hope so. So the question is, are we meant to struggle? Is it a natural phenomenon? Is it God ordained, or is it just a made up human concept? Most of the sages that I have studied about this subject say yes and say no. Helpful, aren't they? So, given that we are moving into the Easter week, the Easter holiday, I thought it'd be interesting to look and see what happened with Jesus around the concept of struggle. First of all, he knew how to struggle. He knew what it was like to experience poverty. And that's why he was so frustrated with the people who were really poor getting higher taxes because they were struggling so much. He knew exactly what it was like to be poor. He didn't have a home. He didn't have a car to drive around in. He walked everywhere. In Luke 9:58, it is written, foxes have holes and birds have air, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Jesus knew what it was like to feel exhausted. And boy, I hear that from everybody now. I was talking to the clerk at King Super the other day. I said, how are you doing? And they went, oh, I am so exhausted. I think people are so pandemically exhausted. And now with the war in Ukraine and so much has happened, people are just weary. We're tired. And Jesus knew that all too well, physically and emotionally, he was tired. He also was tired physically, but also emotionally, because some of his disciples would argue over who was his greatest student. And he kept saying, you're missing the lessons. You're missing the lessons. This isn't about competition. And he was tired because the religious leaders were plotting his death, and he knew it. And all he wanted to do was just be a guy that was out there helping people. Imagine that. But his biggest problem is that people started to notice him, and people started to call him the king. That caused a lot of struggle in his life. In fact, it caused his death. Jesus knew what it was like to be betrayed. Have you ever felt betrayed? It's a really big struggle of the heart. He was betrayed by the jealous religious leaders. He was betrayed by those close to him. And even his family members were going, what in the world is he doing? He is out of his mind. That's in Mark 3:21. And that happens. That happens when we begin to fully decide to live our lives out loud, loudly and proudly. People guarantee it, will start to criticize you. I think I think of every author that I've ever talked to, and having been one myself, we all laugh because we go, "Oh, we have to write this book. I don't have any choice." However, what happens if somebody reads it? Oh no. Well, he'll be criticized. One of his disciples sold him out for 30 pieces of silver. That was a big struggle for Jesus. And he also knew what it was like to suffer from grief. We've all suffered from grief. We've struggled with the idea of being in grief. And when he rode up into, I was going to say drove up to, but rode up to on a donkey into the city of Jerusalem, he wept in tears of how people were betraying their own divinity. He wept in tears. He knew the truth. He knows the truth. Jesus knew what it was like to struggle. In the beautiful wisdom book, the Quran, it is written, there'll be hardships and struggle, just like there's happiness and ease. It's the nature of this life. Don't let the difficult times consume you. Try to focus on the good things in life. It helps you to appreciate what you have, and above all, protect your heart and your soul. Isn't that beautiful? The Quran goes on to say, don't think suffering weakens you. It doesn't. It shows the depth of light that the divine, or Allah, has created. The strength of your soul. It is one of his blessings. The great Dalai Lama, who lost his entire country. His monks were murdered, his nuns were raped, his temples were um, uh, taken over, and some were torn down by the Chinese politicians, not the Chinese people. He says our struggle for freedom, in our struggle for freedom, truth is the only weapon we possess. Truth is the only weapon we possess. So, what is the positive intention of struggle? How many of you have ever struggled and thought, oh man, am I ever going to get through this? And what's the purpose? And why am I doing this? And then you get to the other side and you go, oh, yeah, okay, now I get it. I got the learning. Everyone struggles. That's the positive intention, knowing that everyone struggles. Often painful experiences are the stepping stones to a deeper spiritual awakening and to one's life purpose. Oh my gosh, I experienced this. I worked with so many clients and congregants and students along the way. Struggle can actually open up our soul purpose. And I've always said to people, if you want to know what your soul purpose is, the reason you came to this planet, go to the place where you've struggled the most. Struggle can often wake us up as a tool of inspiration into the next breakthrough. Another positive intention of struggle is it's a messenger. As we become present and loving with our pain, and yes, I do mean loving with our pain, we actually heal. We're not supposed to do some new age kind of, I'm just going to think positive. No, get into the pain of the struggle that you're in, learn to heal. And when we heal, we have greater compassion for others, and we are wiser within ourselves. Another positive intention is learn to live your life in the awareness that you have to deal with both positive and negative experiences. It's life. It's okay. There are aspects of your life which will be resourceful and which will be unresourceful. And your goal, and my goal, all of our goal, is to achieve balance and harmony through the struggles and through the glorious times without being overwhelmed by them. You can't escape life. You can't. I should do a whole thing on that. You can't escape your problems and your suffering. To move forward in your life, you must know how to harness the creative forces in you, control the destructive tendencies, and stabilize your life with peace and equanimity. Rumi, the great sage, says, when you go through a rough time, when you go through a hard time, when everything seems to oppose you, when you feel you cannot even bear one more minute, don't give up. Don't give up, because it is the time and place that the course will divert. Thank you, Rumi. And the next one, number 4, is don't take life for granted. Don't ever take life for granted. Stay rigorously aware of the internal creator of struggle within you and the creator of peace and joy. So, in these times of struggle, what do we do? What do we do? How do we handle it? Well, there's 3 very, very easy, not so easy, but simple steps to take. The first one, what we do is we do nothing. Oh, that's so hard for Americans. Oh, it's like, what can I do now? Nothing. Sit there and watch the clouds go by. One of my favorite quotes, many of you have heard me say this, is a Spanish proverb, and it says, how beautiful it is to do nothing and then rest afterwards. Embrace your feelings of sorrow, of sadness, of confusion, of discord. Do not try to rush into changing any of it. Let it happen by itself. They will not hang around forever, those feelings of struggle. I guarantee it. And if it's longer than you want, then reach out and get some help. Number 2, trust the divine. Trust that the divine is that very thing that is breathing through you, that is pushing you forward and waiting for you to arrive. No matter what's happening, no matter how much confusion and struggle and sadness and sorrow, the divine is always that which is breathing through us. So when you're doing nothing, go ahead and focus on your breath. You'll be amazed at how much better you feel. And the third thing, oh, you all know me. For those of you who know me, this is the core of my life. When you're really struggling and you're like, oh, I can't do one more thing, start being in gratitude. Start being, what are you grateful for? Are you grateful for your struggles? Are you grateful for the pillow under your head? Are you grateful for your toothbrush? Are you grateful for the people in your life? Perhaps we can learn from one of the greatest sages of all. One day he was sitting with Pooh Bear under the very famous treehouse when Piglet noticed that even though he had a very, very small heart, it could hold a rather large amount of gratitude. So please join us each week. We are here to love and support you, a Wednesday midweek uplift, and to remind you just simply how magnificent you are, even when you're in the middle of your struggles. And we are here to support you in that. We're also here to celebrate your successes. So have a great week. Be sure and check out our online classes and our online events. We're about to change dramatically and move into the next chapter of the Center for Spiritual Living, Boulder Valley. And please push the donate button so that we can continue this work. Thank you for joining us and being a part of our community. And remember that love lives here. the true nature of our very being is to be in harmony.